Hello, are you new to gardening? Do you not have a lot to work with? Are you growing in buckets? Are you growing at home? Are you trying to grow some vegetables? Well, I've been doing that for a number of years now, here at Homegrown Veg in the United Kingdom. And we're halfway through the growing season as it stands. We're going to go outside shortly, and I'm going to show you the progress that the vegetables have made so far this season. So far this season we haven't got anything across the finish line yet. But in previous growing seasons I've got lots of stuff across the finish line. I'm going to show you both. We're going to go out and look at where we are today, and then I'll tag on to that some screenshots of reveals that I've done in previous years, and if nothing else that'll actually prove to you that it is possible to grow those vegetables. So what vegetables are we talking about? Well, we're talking about beetroot, carrots, celery, yeah, I've grown all those in buckets before. Potatoes, we're growing potatoes in buckets. We're growing onions in buckets. We're growing leeks in buckets, and we're also growing, or trying to grow, Swedes, Rutabaga in buckets. I'm not too sure I've actually pulled that off as yet, but we're giving it a go again this year. We're growing spring onions in buckets, and I'm trying to grow tomatoes in buckets outdoors. I've never done that before. I've grown tomatoes indoors in my small greenhouse in buckets, but never outdoors in buckets. So we're giving that a go as well. Okay, let's go outside and have a look at how those veggies are coming on this year. These are my beetroot growing in a bucket. I'm reasonably confident that I can get these across the line. We're now a month further on. These are my beetroot growing in this 10-inch X-cut flower water bucket. I'm not sure you can see them in there, but you can certainly see the foliage, and it looks really healthy. I can see them, they're only small, but there are quite a few in this bucket, aren't there? So we wouldn't expect the beetroot that's produced to be that big, but they look healthy. I'm hoping another month or so we'll get these beetroot across the finish line. 4 heads of celery growing in a bucket. Still a long way to go with this celery. It is a big thirsty plant. I'll need to keep on top of this, but yeah, celery's looking good so far. This is the celery a month further on. I don't know if you can see it, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but we've got 4 heads of celery in there. That's growing quite well, looks quite healthy. I just need to keep on top of the watering, and hopefully maybe in another month's time we'll have some celery. These are my carrots growing in a bucket, or should I say these are my carrots not growing in a bucket. I have no confidence in these at all. Something's gone wrong this year with the carrots. I didn't think I was going to have any carrots this year, but look at this. They look really healthy, but I've got to say I've no confidence in what's going on in this bucket. I honestly haven't. All the other buckets of carrots were disasters. I'm not too sure why this isn't a disaster. It seems to have bucked the trend. But hey, we haven't got a single carrot this year yet. I wouldn't be surprised if the carrots in this bucket aren't good quality. But yeah, another month we'll find out what we've got in this bucket of carrots. This is one of my many buckets of potatoes. It's not looking too bad. I'm not too sure if this potato's actually flowered yet. I know most of my potatoes in buckets have flowered, I'm not too sure about this particular one, but yeah, it's got a nice bit of top growth on it there. We don't eat the top growth, do we? We eat what's in the bucket. So I wouldn't like to predict what we're going to get out of this one, but we'll find out, won't we, later on in the year. Right, for continuity, I'm showing you an empty bucket. Why am I doing that? Because I've been growing potatoes in these all year round, and we must have harvested over the last month or two 10 of these buckets with potatoes in, and they're definitely a 100% success. Yeah, one potato sat on 2 inches of soil, topped off, water it, don't let it dry out. We've had 10 buckets of potatoes this year. Can't show you any now because the last ones were harvested some weeks ago. These are my onions. 4 onions growing in this bucket. Started from seed. I think they're Ailsa Craig. It's quite a big onion, is an Ailsa Craig, so if we get these 4 across the finish line, that bucket will be a bucket full of onions. Wow, we've got something to harvest on camera. Yes, we have, Meg. We've got these 4 small onions. Not the biggest onions in the world, but if I hadn't planted them in this bucket, we wouldn't be harvesting them now, because the raised beds were full. And if you saw my reveals earlier in the year, you'll know that I've done really well in the raised beds. And these 4 small onions in a bucket, it's a bonus. It's a bonus, it really is. How's that? 4 onions grown in a small 10-inch ex-good flow water bucket. Yep, I'll tidy these up off camera. 4 Swedes in this bucket. You might know them better as Rutabaga. I've had my ups and downs with these over the years. I've grown them successfully in the raised bed, but not in buckets. But they're looking quite healthy. There's no pestilence attacking them at the moment. At least there doesn't seem to be. I can't see any. That's a worry with these. Well, this isn't quite a disaster yet, but I've got a feeling it's going to be. These are the Swedes, these are the Rutabaga. I had 4 growing in here. There are only 2 now. 2 have failed. And to be honest, I don't like the look of these 2 either, so I'm not confident that we'll get these across the line. These Swedes, these Rutabaga. But hey, we'll find out. We'll keep them going. These are my leeks. I'm not sure how many there are in this bucket. Looks like 9 or 10 to me. And they're looking quite healthy. Fingers crossed none of those bolt and we get them all across the finish line. They won't be the biggest leek in the world, but there's lots of them for a small 10-inch bucket, isn't there? These are the leeks. Another month's worth of growing in these, and yeah, perhaps another month after this video we'll be harvesting these leeks, and it looks as though we're going to get some, doesn't it? It looks as though we're going to get some leeks. Now that's a lot of leeks in a small bucket. I hear what you say, it'll never hold water. Yep, that's a lot of leeks in a small bucket. One thing I'm really pleased with is that none of them have bolted as yet. Fingers crossed. I hope I haven't put the kiss of death on them. I've had a few bolters in my raised bed, leeks bolting, but there's no leeks bolting in this bucket at the moment. Let's see where we are in a month's time. These are some spring onions, also known as bunching onions or green onions. I could be taking these now, but I'd like them just to be a little bit bigger. And these seem as though they're doing okay for me. These are the spring onions. I think I've let these go too long. These should have been harvested sooner. And as you can see, they've started to bulb up. So we're going to take these as well today. Oh, if they'll come out. Yep, they're hanging on there. Well, to be honest, I thought they would come out easier than that, so what I'm going to do is I'll just take a couple of bunches out on camera, if I can do that. Oh, let's have a look. Wow, these guys have put roots down. Yep. So, that's what we're getting out of this bucket. Some small onions. Should have been green onions, should have been spring onions, but we left them too long and this is what we've got. I'll sort this bucket out off camera, I'll harvest it, clean these up, we'll go indoors, we'll make them into something, I'm sure we will. This would be a first for me. Not growing tomatoes. I'm growing lots of tomatoes in my small 6x8 greenhouse, but I've never actually grown them outdoors. I've grown them in buckets in the greenhouse, but I've never grown them outdoors. So this would be a first for me. This plant looks quite healthy, lots of flowers on it. I think it might be Roma. If it's not Roma, it's Heinz 1315. They're both determinate tomatoes, and so we grow them as a bush. But as I've said, this is a first for me. Hey, fingers crossed with this one. The biggest danger to these plants outdoors now is the wind. It's been quite windy lately, so I'm always looking for shelter. Okay, this is the tomato plant. This was the experiment. This was one I've grown outdoors. I grew about 4 outdoors, I think it was, and the wind has just shredded the plant. I mean, I've got 1 or 2 small tomatoes, but there's no way we can call this a success, I don't think. I don't think I'm going to be able to grow tomatoes outdoors this far north in the United Kingdom. It's just too wet at times, and it's certainly too windy. The wind whips in off the Irish Sea down the valley. I live on the side of the valley. My garden catches the wind, any wind that there is, and these plants can't take it. So we've got 1 or 2 small ones. Yeah, we'll eat those. Yeah, no, it isn't a total failure, but it's certainly not a success. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this update. So as you can see, some seem to be doing better than others. I think I might get some beetroot across the finish line. I'm not too sure about carrots. Celery's looking okay. You saw how I'm doing this year. Now check this out. This is what I've done in previous years. you enjoy that? Yeah, if you've never grown in buckets before and you're apprehensive, you can see what's possible. I've just shown you it. Hey, give it a go. Give it a go. If you're strapped for space, if all you've got is some small buckets, give it a go. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.